it would not at all surprise me that the next year is just going to be a banger year for Bitcoin, you know. Now, could we have some drops? Yeah, Bitcoin can drop 10% in a day, right? And it did that the other day, right? Absolutely, it can do that. That's not a reason to not invest in Bitcoin. I think you want to be involved in Bitcoin, even though it can have 10%, 20%, you know, days. And because I think if you look over a couple year period, it's going to do extremely well. And I do think we're going to go 50 times higher in Bitcoin over the next, you know, 15, 20 years. I do.
On Tuesday, Bitcoin experienced a significant drop of up to 6.5%, marking its biggest single-day decline in 2 weeks, as a surge in selling affected cryptocurrencies and other risky assets like stocks. Despite this decline, Bitcoin has still seen a 52% increase in value since the beginning of the year, largely due to increased investments in US exchange-traded funds supported by Bitcoin. The recent peak of nearly $74,000 reached last Thursday prompted some investors to take profits, especially in light of indications from US data releases suggesting that the Federal Reserve might not reduce interest rates as much as previously anticipated. Over the past week, Bitcoin has experienced a nearly 9% decline, its largest weekly drop since last September. But despite this news, many experts like Fred Krueger remain extremely bullish. Bitcoin is still expected to rise rapidly and become a valuable asset worth millions. Expert investor Fred Krueger predicts a 50-fold increase in its value over the next 15 to 20 years, significantly changing the lives of many. Krueger is very confident about this prediction. In his recent interview, Fred Krueger talks optimistically about Bitcoin's future and shares his latest price forecast. He believes Bitcoin could potentially reach $20 million to $50 million per coin, driven by factors like limited supply, growing demand, and more institutions adopting it. Krueger explains that, despite its ups and downs, Bitcoin has generally been increasing in value since it started. Let us now view clips from the interview as Fred Krueger shares his bullish outlook. As we show you these clips, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more similar videos. Make sure to watch the whole video, where Fred Krueger discusses what Bitcoin is and why he thinks everyone should own as much of it as possible.
You're going from 70,000 to 4.5 million in 15 years. Now, again, you could sort of say, well, that sounds crazy. Why is it going so much? Well, you know, it's not totally crazy. I mean, the price of Amazon has gone up 100 times over the last, the price of Apple computer has gone up 100 times since they released the iPhone. That was one of my biggest mistakes, I think, was I bought shares of Apple when they released the Apple iPhone. I sold them 3 years later at the price double, right? Now, had I held them, I would have made 50 times more money than I had by selling them 3 years later, right? So you tend to underestimate how much these things can go up, right? Nobody thought that Apple released the iPhone in 2007, right? Nobody thought that we'd be, 100 times higher in price than they were in 2007. It's just insane, right? But yet, these technological advances can move 50, 100 times over 20 years. And I do think we're going to go 50 times higher in Bitcoin over the next, 15, 20 years. I do. And that might be it. That might be more or less it. It may go up a little bit more than that, but I do feel like that this opportunity right now, over the next, let's call it next 5-10 years, is exceptionally good in Bitcoin. Probably on a risk-reward basis, the best it's ever been, right? Because we've now got this ETF. It's all a question just of adoption now. The mechanism, everything is just ready to go. We don't have to invent new things. We don't have to invent new wallets or convince some Middle East nation or anything. It's just, we just have to get normal Wall Street people to go click on IBIT in their, and their Charles Schwab account. It's all there ready for them to buy. So we've never had it this easy, and the adoption can really happen right now. The key thing is I think we're getting to $1 million a coin, right? $1 million for Bitcoin. I believe that. I think we're going to get,
projection for
our
that.
law says you will get there in 8 years, right?
In
That's
8 years.
the power. 8 years, right? So that's kind of, if you just follow the curve, it says you'll get there in 8, right? Now, a lot of Bitcoiners I know say, no, Fred, you're way too bearish. It's going to happen before 8. And they're saying because of the ETF. And I'm not saying I completely disagree, but I just think if you said, Fred, are we going to get to $1 million within a decade? I'd say probably, probably. And if you believe that, that's enough, right? All you have to do is have 10%, 15% of your portfolio in Bitcoin, and you're going to do great, right? And you can probably, having 10% of your portfolio in Bitcoin is not going to cause you to lose sleep, right? If you're like me and you've got, north of 50% of your net worth in Bitcoin, right? You care about it a little bit more, right? It's a little bit more of an adrenaline rush, right? But if you have 10%, 5% in your portfolio, maybe that 5%, 10% goes to 20% with the price appreciation, but it's not the worst. It's not a crazy risk, If you take the Bitcoin price and the time since the first Bitcoin block was mined, right, which was in January of 2009, and you look at both of those numbers on a logarithmic scale, you will see that we get an absolute straight line.
Kruger explains that if you plot the price of Bitcoin against the time since its creation on a logarithmic scale, you'll observe a consistent line with minor fluctuations. This relationship was first observed by an astrophysicist named Giovanni, who used logarithmic scales to analyze astrophysical phenomena. Kruger describes the Bitcoin price plotted against time on a logarithmic scale as following a power law. Specifically, the price of Bitcoin roughly follows a sixth power relationship with time. This means that over time, the price of Bitcoin increases exponentially, with each doubling of time leading to a 64-fold increase in price. Let us now look at more clips of Fred Kruger as he explains this intelligent analysis.
So this chart was discovered by an astrophysicist named Giovanni. And when you're looking at things in astrophysical time frames, you need to look at things that are very small or very small, and then things that are very big, like the distance of the size of the Milky Way, right? So you tend to look at things on a logarithmic scale. And the way of representing relationships in this so-called log space is very natural for physicists. And so it's not crazy that a physicist would have first seen this this relationship. So if you look at that graph and you look at the price of Bitcoin in the logarithm of the price of Bitcoin, and you look at it in relationship to the logarithm of the time elapsed since the Genesis block, you will see that it's it sort of wobbles around a straight line right from the very first year of Bitcoin to now. And that straight line means that because that straight line is in log space, right? That means that the actual price of Bitcoin is roughly time to the power 6, okay? Now, you were sort of saying, well, that's exponential. It's not exponential. What it is it's a polynomial, right? It's a 6th power. So you know what a parabola is. Parabola is like x squared, right? A cube is even more faster. The cubic is even more fast than a parabola. It's x to the cube. Well, this is x to the power 6. And that's roughly how much Bitcoin price goes up in time. Let me give you an example of what that means. Bitcoin has existed for 15 years now. Where will Bitcoin price be if the same pattern continues in another 15 years? Will it be double the current price? No. It'll be 2 to the power 6, the current price, which is 64 times as high as it is right now. Right? So that's what a power law says, that if you double the amount of time, you get 2 to the power 6 higher in price. So 64 times higher in price. Now, that seems crazy, but that's exactly what Bitcoin has been doing over the last 15 years. I mean, exactly. Bitcoin is not just about what it's not is just a payment technology. That's not what it is, right? it's a savings technology. And, your electronic versions of the euro, they're going to have the same performance relative to inflation as just your regular old euros, right? So it's probably not a great idea to use central bank digital currencies to save in. As Michael Saylor said recently, there's a word for people who save their money in fiat, and that word is poor, right? Because rich people don't keep the vast majority of their money in fiat. They keep it in property. They keep it in equities. They keep it in houses. They keep it in gold. They keep it now in Bitcoin. So, if having a central bank digital currency, fine, no problem. It's an alternative to cash. I think it won't even be that big of a deal. I think it's doesn't really matter. I'm against it because I don't love the fact that they're going to monitor everything I do. So I'm not in favor of the central bank digital currency. I don't like it, but it's not going to be competition to Bitcoin at all. It's going to be a stepping stone, but I think Bitcoin's going to do so well before that central bank digital currency ever gets off the ground. Like, Bitcoin will already be at $500,000 a coin by the time that the U.S. has a central bank digital currency. I mean, it's going to be way too late, right? I mean, we're at 70,000 a coin right now. We were at 38,000 on December 1st. We were at 16,000 on January 1st of last year. I mean, we're going to be at 250,000 a Bitcoin, and people will still not be putting the finishing touches on this central bank digital currency. So they can talk all they want about this, but that's not going to. People are not going to slow down and not buy Bitcoin. People are going to buy Bitcoin right now, because why wait? Why wait? Do you want to get rich? Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm already rich, but I want to get richer. It's sort of like Michael Saylor said. This is a game, and whoever has the most Bitcoin wins the game. That's it. It's a zero-sum game. Whoever has the most wins.
With everything discussed, Kruger expresses his utter confidence in Bitcoin's future growth, believing that it will continue to appreciate in value regardless of short-term price fluctuations. He emphasizes the urgency of investing in Bitcoin now while its price is still lower, as its potential for significant price appreciation outweighs any perceived risks. Meanwhile, just last Monday, Bitcoin experienced a sudden and drastic price drop on BitMEX, falling to $8,900 within minutes due to large sell orders totaling $55.49 million. This event occurred on the XBT USD spot market, despite Bitcoin maintaining higher values on other exchanges. The price quickly rebounded to $67,000, exactly 8 minutes after the crash. Social media speculation suggested that whale selling triggered the crash, with over 850 BTC sold on BitMEX. BitMEX announced an investigation into the unusual activity on their BTC USDT spot market, reassuring users of normal operations and fund security. This incident just shows the cryptocurrency market's volatility and the potential impact of large trades on prices. As investigations continue, stakeholders remain vigilant for future developments. Still, we cannot deny that those 8 minutes must have been quite frightful to some, and a short-lived opportunity for many. Do you agree with Fred Kruger's Bitcoin price prediction and insight? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this video helpful, we kindly ask you to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more valuable insights on cryptocurrencies and finance. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you in our next videos. As always, happy investing!